Well, guys, it's now time for the final week. My Week 18 picks of the 2022 NFL season. As last week, I went 10-5 as, unfortunately, I didn't get this correct. It's supposed to be, this. But anyways, we only got 15 games because the Bills-Bengals game got canceled after what happened to Damar Hamlin, which thankfully he's recovering. It just sucks how that happened. And of course, here is the current regular season stands and the playoff stands of the season today. In the AFC, it's the Chiefs with the bye, with Patriots at Bills, Ravens at Bengals, and Chiefs at Jaguars. And in the NFC, it's the Eagles with the bye, with Seahawks at 49ers, Giants at Vikings, and Cowboys at Buccaneers. And my Super Bowl prediction right now, I actually haven't really been thinking about that since been too busy worrying about if this Bills-Bengals game is going to be played in tomorrow, so screw that. So anyways, unfortunately, like I said, the Bills-Bengals game got canceled. And of course, since that was, both teams were fighting for the number one seed, that really puts the playoff scenes out of whack too. Plus, the AFC North was still up for grabs too with the Ravens. So because of them, instead of just playing the game again, they're canceling it. And they're doing so many different scenarios. Basically, from what I've read up earlier, if the Bills, Bengals, or Chiefs play each other in the AFC Championship, they're going to do a neutral site for it, which looks like right now, either in Indianapolis or Atlanta. So we'll have to see about that. And then there's another scenario involving the Ravens and Bengals, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Don't like it. I think they should have just played the game, but it's just the unfortunate reality of the situation because it was so unique. First time they canceled a game since 1987. Especially for a situation like this. So anyways, let's just forget about that right now and try to get to my Week 18 picks. As it's going to start off with our last two Monday night games of the year. Starting off with the Chiefs at the Raiders. As the Chiefs won the last four, the Raiders haven't beaten them since 2020. They haven't won at home since 2017. So the Chiefs, if they won this game and if the Bills lost, then they would clinch home field advantage for the first time since 2020. But like I said earlier, that doesn't really matter now because of the changes they did. So it's just about trying their best to win and hope for a better spot. So, of course, the Chiefs, man, they've had a hard time against the Broncos this year, even though they suck. The Broncos apparently can play tough against the Chiefs, but they won in the end as they have tied with the Eagles for the best record in the league right now. Meanwhile, the Raiders, it won't come to... Oh, yeah. They had a very hard-fought game against the 49ers, but just couldn't win it in the end. This will be very interesting. Because remember, the Raiders almost did beat the Chiefs earlier in the year. And now they're hosting them, too. So, a lot's on the line for this game. But I think I'm still going to pick the Chiefs for this one. But I won't be surprised if the Raiders get it. And then we get to a big AFC matchup, as it's the Titans at the Jaguars with the AFC South on the line. The Jaguars won the last one. The Titans haven't beaten them since 2021. The Jaguars haven't won at home since 2019. And if the Jaguars win this, they'll get their first win season since 2017. And they'll clinch a playoff spot in the AFC South for the first time since 2017. The Titans will be eliminated. But if the Titans win, they clinch a playoff spot for the fourth year in a row, and they clinch the AFC South for the third year in a row. And the Jaguars, even if they lose, they can still get in. I think they require the Patriots, Dolphins, and Steelers to all lose. But they can still get in as a wild card. But the odds are not as good. So the Titans, of course, continue to lose. They've lost now 6 in a row as they got spanked by the Cowboys. Meanwhile, the Jaguars obliterated the Texans to get back to 500 for the first time since Week 4. As they are really on a roll right now. They've now won, I think, like 4 games in a row. Definitely are a scary team right now with a solid offense. And I'm going to pick the Jaguars for this one. So then we get to the Sunday games, as it's the Buccaneers at the Falcons. Buccaneers won the last 5. The Falcons haven't beaten them since 2019, as the Buccaneers try to get their third straight win season. The Buccaneers already clinched the division. So, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they just rest their starters, because there's no change they can do. Only thing is just get a win season out of it. So, the Buccaneers, of course, beat the Panthers barely. They had to pull off a big comeback and rally to win it. Meanwhile, the Falcons, they also had to pull off a comeback and rally against the Cardinals as well. So, honestly, this pick might come down to, will the Buccaneers play their stars or not? Because, like I said, they have nothing to play for. They're stuck as the 4th seed no matter what. So are they okay with having a losing record? or do they want to have that win record going in? Because if they do play their starters, the Buccaneers I'm going to pick. But if they don't, I'm actually going to pick the Falcons. So we'll have to wait and see on this one. Like I said, if they play the Stars, I'm going to pick the Buccaneers. But if not, I'm going to pick the Falcons. I'm going to keep that open for right now, because we don't know yet. Or at least I don't know. So then after that, it's the Patriots at the Bills. And of course, forgot to update the record, because I was in a rush last night to get this done. So anyways, Patriots at the Bills. The Bills won the last two. The Patriots haven't beaten them since 2021. The Bills haven't won at home since 2020. So, and of course, man, I was really in a rush. I forgot to update that record too. So anyways, the Patriots, if they win, they'll get their first second win season in a row, and they'll be in the playoffs for a second year in a row. The Bills, if they won and the Chiefs lost, actually no, if they won out, they would have gotten home field advantage for the first time since 1993, I mean to say. But now that's up in the air because their game got canceled, which there's nothing really to talk about that game. So as the Patriots, of course, beat the Dolphins to get back to 500. So this is still an important game, possibly for the second, third seed at least, since if the Bills and Bengals tie, I have no idea what the tiebreaker would be since they didn't play each other in full. But I'm going to pick the Bills for this one, but don't be surprised. The Patriots have a lot on the line. They need this win. Then it's the Vikings at the Bears, as the Bears, Vikings won the last three. The Bears haven't beaten them since 2020. And if the Bears lose and the Texans win, they'll get the #1 overall pick. So the Vikings, if they win, they can get up to the second or third seed. They can't get the #1 seed, unfortunately, no matter what. So just trying to get that second or third seed, which, I don't know. Pick your poison, possibly hosting the Giants or maybe the Packers, Lions, or Seahawks. Who do you want to play more? It's kind of tough because the Vikings are not really that good of a team, and they showed us they got their ass kicked by the Packers. They're 12-4, and they've allowed more points than they've scored. I've never seen that before of a team with a 12-4 team. Can you imagine if they win 13 games and they still have a worse point differential? Oh my God! As they got destroyed by the Packers. The Bears, meanwhile, got throttled by the Lions, as they've now lost 9 in a row. I think they have the longest losing streak in the league right now, as they're looking horrible. And I think they are, and oh yeah, they are benching Justin Fields because of injury, I think. So yeah, they're honestly it's weird. The Bears at the first beginning of the year, they had a horrible offense and an awesome defense. Then in the middle of the year, their offense started to look a little bit better, and their defense started to look worse. Now they look just bad overall. Just like the second worst team in the league behind the Texans. Now, of course, the Bears could be tough against the Vikings. They always play tough when they host them, but I'm probably going to pick the Vikings for this one, but I won't be surprised if the Bears get it. All right, so now we get to our next, another important game, which I mentioned earlier about, and that's the Ravens at the Bengals. Ravens won the last one. The Bengals haven't beaten them since 2021. The Ravens haven't won Cincinnati since 2020. Now, if the Bengals game with the Bills did play and the Bengals lost and the Ravens beat the Bengals upcoming, the Ravens would get the AFC North crown for the first time since 2019, but of course they cancel it, so the Bengals by default win the AFC North because they can't do worse than the Ravens. But there is a scenario. They've said if the Ravens win this and if they're both the 3rd and 6th seed in the playoffs, which unless the Chargers and someone else, the Patriots and Chargers have to change something around there to cause that to happen. But if the Ravens win and they stay the exact same seeds, they're going to do a coin toss to determine who hosts it. So it's possible that the Bengals could win the division but still not get a home playoff game. That's why, like I said, they should have just played the Bills-Bengals game sometime later on. They really should have just done that. It's that big of a deal. So yeah, the Ravens, of course, lost to the Steelers in defensive struggle, which I'm not surprised about. That's why I picked the Steelers. Meanwhile, the Bengals, of course, never got to finish their game against the Bills. So, yeah, I'm picking the Bengals for this one since they crushed the Ravens last year. But, yeah, you never know. The Ravens could probably play tough because knowing they still have a chance to get a home playoff game. All right, then we get to the Texans at the Colts, as the last game was tied. The Texans haven't won in Indianapolis since 2018. And if the Texans lose, they'll have the #1 overall pick. So, the Texans got throttled by the Jaguars, showing that, of course, they're still the worst team in the league. Meanwhile, the Colts got destroyed by the Giants, as both teams are tanking very hard. But I'm going to pick the Colts for this one because the Texans have really nothing to play for. And if anything, they have a reason to lose. They get the #1 overall pick. Then it's the Jets at the Dolphins, as the Jets won the last one. The Dolphins haven't beaten them since 2021, and the Jets haven't won in Miami since 2015, even though that was in London, of course. So, of course, the Dolphins, if they win, not only do they get their third straight win season, oh, and I think they need a Patriots loss, too, to clinch a first playoff spot since 2016. And the Jets, of course, are eliminated after they got destroyed by the Seahawks last week. No surprise. Meanwhile, the Dolphins have now lost 5 in a row and barely holding on for a playoff spot as they lost to the Patriots, as they're not playing Tua, which honestly is for the better for his health after all that crap. So, it's going to come down to more to who do you trust more, as these teams have now lost 5 in a row. And I think I still might trust the Dolphins. And I think I still might trust the Dolphins in this one. Alright, so then it's the Panthers at the Saints. The Panthers won the last one. The Saints haven't beaten them since 2021. The Panthers haven't won in New Orleans since 2018. So, of course, both teams are eliminated. The Panthers had a hard-fought fight against the Buccaneers, but just couldn't win in the end, even though they didn't play that bad. Saints, of course... shit, who did they play again? It won't come to my head. I know they won it, but it won't come to my head for some stupid reason. But anyways, oh, they beat the Eagles in an upset. There we go. I don't know why it wouldn't come to my head. So yeah, very interesting game, but I think I'm going to pick the Saints for this one. Alright, then we get to the Browns at the Steelers. As the Browns won the last one, the Steelers haven't beaten them since 2021. The Browns haven't won in Pittsburgh since 2003. So the Steelers, if they win, not only will they get their third straight win season, but if they win and the Patriots and Dolphins lose, they'll be in the playoffs for the third year in a row. Otherwise, if they lose, they're eliminated. So, very important for them as well to make this massive comeback and to avoid another losing season. Meanwhile, after they beat the Ravens, the Browns beat the Commanders as they're trying to win to get the same record as last year. And first time this season, too, Watson had a really good game, showing that he has the potential. He was just rusty. Can't wait to see what happens next year. But I'm still going to pick the Steelers for this one. Alright, then we get to the 4 p.m. games. Starting off with the Giants at the Eagles. Eagles won the last 2. The Giants haven't beaten them since 2021. They haven't won in Philadelphia since 2013. So, the Giants are stuck as the 6th seed no matter what. So, they might just rest their starters because they have nothing to play for after they crushed the Colts to get into the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Meanwhile, the Eagles have now lost 2 in a row after they lost to the Saints, as Jalen Hurts still has no idea if he's playing or not. And the Eagles, of course, if they win, they will clinch not only the division for the first time since 2019, but home field advantage for the first time since 2017. But if they lose and the Cowboys win, they're a wild card team. Man, that's quite a change. So it's either first place or a wild card team. And of course, maybe if the Cowboys lose and the Eagles also lose, and the 49ers win, maybe they might not get number 1 seed, because I think that's also possible as well. So yeah, a lot on the line for the Eagles in this one, but I'm going to pick the Eagles to win, because I'm sure the Giants are going to rest their stars. Alright, so then it's the Cowboys at the Commanders. As the Cowboys won the last 3, the Commanders haven't beaten them since 2020. As the Commanders are still trying to avoid their first losing, they're trying to get their first non-losing season since 2016, as they got eliminated. The Cowboys, meanwhile, if they win and the Eagles lose, they will clinch the division for the 2nd year in a row. And I think they might also need the 49ers to lose just to be safe, because I'm not sure about the tiebreaker. But if that happens, they can get home field advantage for the first time since 2016. Just like in the AFC, the NFC has 3 teams fighting for the number 1 seed right now. So the Cowboys, of course... oh yeah, right, they beat the Titans to match their win total from last year, try and improve upon it. Meanwhile, the Commanders embarrass themselves losing to the Browns as they are eliminated from the playoffs. It's just about fucking over the Cowboys and getting a non-losing season. So yeah, I'm going to pick the Cowboys for this one. Then it's the Chargers at the Broncos. As the Chargers won the last one, the Broncos haven't beaten them since 2021. And the Chargers haven't won in Denver since 2018. So, the Chargers, who did they beat? Oh, that's right, they crushed the Rams. Meanwhile, the Broncos put up a hard-fought fight against the Chiefs, but once again couldn't get it. Now, the Chargers, I believe if they win, they have the tiebreaker over the Ravens no matter what, so they would be stuck going to the Jaguars or Titans. But if they lose and the Ravens win, then they'll have to be the 3rd seed and possibly visit the Bengals. So pick your poison. The Bengals or the Jaguars or Titans possibly. So there's different. There's playoff scenes on the line for the Chargers. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting game because remember the Chargers almost lost to the Broncos earlier in the year when they hosted them on Monday night and that went to overtime. And like I don't know, like you don't know, they might want to lose to possibly have a better season possibly. I have no idea. That's a tough one. This is a tough one to pick. Oh boy. I think I still might just pick the Chargers barely, though. I have no idea, though. That one's a tough one to pick for me. Then it's the Rams at the Seahawks, as the Seahawks won the last one. The Rams haven't won since 2021. They haven't won, and Seahawks haven't won at home since 2020. As the Seahawks are trying to win to get their first win season since 2020. And if they win and the Packers lose, they'll be in the playoffs for the first time since 2020. They need to win, and they need the Lions to win to get into the playoffs. So, the Seahawks, of course, beat... Who the heck? I don't know. Like, they're just... Oh, yeah, that's right. They beat the Jets. I mentioned earlier. I don't know why it wouldn't come to my head. They crushed the Jets. Meanwhile, the Rams got crushed by the Chargers as they have the worst record now for a defending champion, at least in the Super Bowl era. So, the horrible season, hoping to get that off the way soon enough. I'm going to pick the Seahawks for this one, but don't be surprised if the Rams somehow pull off an upset. Alright. So then it's the Cardinals at the 49ers. The 49ers won the last one. The Cardinals haven't beaten them since 2021. And the 49ers haven't won at home since 2019. Then the 49ers, if they win and the Eagles and possibly the Cowboys lose, they will clinch home field advantage for the first time since 2019 because I think they have the tiebreaker over the Vikings no matter what. Because I know they can't get home field advantage. So the Cardinals, of course, had a hard-fought game but couldn't beat the Falcons. The 49ers had a hard-fought game against the Raiders. That was an offensive shootout, and they managed to win it. They have like the longest win streak in the league still. I'm picking the 49ers, of course, for this one. And then we get to our final game, Sunday night, as it's the Lions at the Packers. As the Lions won the last two, the Packers haven't beaten them since 2021, and the Lions haven't won in Lambeau since 2018. So, for every team it's important, Lions, if they win, they'll get their first win season since 2017. But if they win and the Seahawks lose, they'll get into the playoffs for the first time since 2016. They need to win, and they need the Seahawks to lose. Meanwhile, the Packers, if they win, they'll get their 4th straight win season, but if they win, they're in the playoffs no matter what. Doesn't matter what the Seahawks do. They have the tiebreaker, so if they win, they're in for the playoffs for the 4th year in a row. So, of course, the Lions throttled the Bears to get back to 500 for the first time since week 1, as they look really scary, even with their terrible defense. Meanwhile, the Packers also made a giant comeback, because they now won like 4 in a row after they crushed the Vikings, as they're in prime position, like I keep telling you are. RELAX. Relax. The Packers are right back in the mix for the playoffs, and a win, and they are in. This will be an interesting game because both teams are desperate, although the Lions, of course, will be eliminated if the Seahawks win, so who knows at that point. That will be very interesting, but I'm going to pick the Packers for this one. Alright, so those are my week 18 picks to wrap up the season. I cannot wait for the games tomorrow, so my final picks this season are the Chiefs over the Raiders, the Jaguars over the Titans, Buccaneers over the Falcons if they play their stars. Otherwise, the Falcons will win if the Buccaneers don't play their starters. Bills over the Patriots. Vikings over the Bears. Bengals over the Ravens. Colts over the Texans. Dolphins over the Jets. The Saints over the Panthers. The Steelers over the Browns. The Eagles over the Giants. The Cowboys over the Commanders. Chargers over the Broncos. The Seahawks over the Rams. And 49ers over the Cardinals. And Packers over the Lions. Alright, so see you all on Monday when I finally make my playoff predictions once we have all the stuff all set up. So see you guys then, and good luck to everyone in the final week of the season.